I had the privilege of speaking to someone about a video that I did previously about the economic benefits of having a relationship that is a primary focus in the society at this point in time. And I thought, having gotten the feedback, it was that I was apparently perpetuating the idea of marriage as not being the best alternative to relationships in general within the society. And her feedback was that she didn't think that it was empowering to people. So my response to her was basically that I couldn't take an elevated stance against anyone to say what they're doing in terms of their actions were wrong or right. So I thought, it's good to give your opinion or analysis from the viewpoint of observation, but it's also good to look into the numbers and the data behind what you've said. And on the basis of being incorrect, then you can improve yourself by correcting yourself. And that's what our channel is about, which is improve TV, improving ourselves in terms of education, knowledge, and just as a channel in itself, just finding opportunities to get feedback and using data and analysis to get a clearer perspective on how we make decisions and how to make better decisions as individuals and within the scope of the society. So I went ahead, of course, and tried to find out a bit more about marriage and the status of us as a population in terms of how we've been doing in terms of marriage and relationships and connections. Now, the data that I looked at was over a period of 30 years in the UK. Well, not the UK, but England and Wales. And it was a bit daunting having looked at the figures, because I had to look at from 1970 to 2011, because it was consistent in terms of the data. The last census was done in 2011, and in 1970 the average amount of marriages that happened in the UK was above over 400,000, and leading up to 2011 it was basically 200 and odd thousand. So obviously I delved a bit deep and went into the research and just calculated everything. And over the last 30 years, out of a population of basically, I would say about 50 odd million, but working age individuals, 30 odd million, you're looking at about basically 13 million people got married in total over that time period. So, I went ahead and of course I calculated what the ratio was and so on. So out of the 13.3 million that got married over the last 30 years, the number that got divorced was 5.8 million people, leaving 7.5 million people. So I had to calculate the percentage of working population compared to the total population. And of course, that's working population because obviously you have to be 18 years old or older in order to get married. So the total came to 66%, and basically it was 250,000 people in 2011 that got married, and that's basically the trend within like 2011 going back a bit, 2009. So it left from 400,000 in the 70s to in 2011 it went to about 250,000 approximately out of 30 million, and that's 30,700,000 people. So I calculated the ratio and I thought, okay, so what's the percentage chance of actually getting married on the basis that this is the trend that 200,000 people out of 30 odd million got married in 1 year. So the total that it came to was a 1% chance of actually getting married based on the data. So that means that the rest of the population that is of working age, 99% of them, you have to think of the consideration of men and women in that category, but I haven't gotten to the chance of the breakdown. But you can basically assume that it's a percentage ratio almost equal or less, not exactly either above or below. So if the chances of people choosing to get married is 99%, and we've been given the idea, well, it was not given, we perceive on a daily basis that marriage actually in totality is about most people want to get married or do choose to get married. Or I spoke to somebody tonight and he said that there's a 40% chance, he thinks, just a random person that I was talking to on the road, but the reality of it is that there's a 1% out of the population of working age people, and I say working age because that doesn't mean that they're employed, that actually have chosen to get married, and the other 99% either have not chosen to get married, do not intend on getting married, or there are reasons behind them not getting married. So it's, I mean, that's why it's you one, you have to be careful what you say, and if we say anything on here, we're moving in the direction of always backing it up with data, because the reality of it is that only 1% of the working age population has actually chosen to get married. Now when I make a comment and say that I cannot choose for people, or I cannot move in the direction of suggesting if marriage is wrong or right, but it leaves a lot of questions in terms of why aren't people getting married, and are the economic benefits actually outweighing of getting married, actually not outweighing the benefit of being single. And it leaves other questions that arise in terms of the economics of the society and how it's operating. Because what I did, I went ahead and I looked at some other figures, and apparently there are about 7 million single mothers within the economy. And the additional data is that average house cost in the UK is about 227,000, raising 227,000, sorry, in terms of cost to raise a child over 21 years, and over 200,000 to buy a house in the UK. That's the average amount, and that has to be 10 times your wages. So on the basis of having to rear children, so many single women are out there, so many single men. There, it's no wonder that many people, perpetuate the idea that this is a society that is very focused on the individual and self-preservation of the individual. So my task now is to just look a bit deeper into things and try to ask more questions behind why aren't people getting married, and potentially get into some of the root causes of why they're not getting married, or why they're actually choosing to stay single, and to address those factors from the viewpoint of enlightening people about what they really want, what they have chosen, and potentially reevaluating what they do want in comparison to what they think they want, or what they don't realize that they want. So I'm just gonna say to the young lady that gave me the feedback that it's very good to have a perception, in terms of what things should be. And that's why we aspire for greater things in our reality. But the reality is that we have to be realistic as well, and look at the numbers from the realistic standpoint in order to address core issues. And that is what Improve TV is about. And I'm just going to close by saying this is Michelle Samuels for Improve TV, and it's really fantastic, just all the support that I've been getting, and just keep giving me feedback and ideas about what to look into in terms of how to improve us as individuals and how to improve the society.